I would like to nominate Akuye Karen Vargas with the Living Life Leadership and Living Arts Cultural Heritage Project. They are truly an unsung hero in Kitsap County who provides unwavering support to families, their children, and community. They are steadfast in finding and providing much-needed resources by building community networks, events, and educational programs for at-risk youth and their families. To name a few of their accomplishments in the community would be impossible to list in this email. If you see a cultural celebration, youth program, or celebration in Bainbridge or Bremerton area, you can bet you will find Akuye behind the scenes making sure the underserved are being served first. Each year they have built upon what they created the previous year. Today they are busy maintaining and growing a thriving community of like-minded people that believe in equitable and accessible social, emotional, cultural, and artistic learning and opportunities. They are a fierce advocate for youth of color, making sure their educational needs are not being missed or overlooked. Each year they provide an empowerment conference for youth during spring break to help provide social-emotional skills, knowing what a hardship that time out of school puts on single-income families and their children. They have gathered organizations, businesses, advocates, and coaches to provide service learning during a time where youth would be left alone at home to fend for themselves. They provide restorative healing retreats during the winter break to help youth and families manage their self-care and mental health. During the summer months, she will gather the youth and take them on field trips to learn more about their culture and history. She makes sure it is an immersive experience that is profoundly impactful. I have witnessed firsthand the impact Akuye has on these growing communities and how much the lives of our youth are transformed due to the work of Mrs. Vargas. It would be a shame to not know her and their work, as she is leaving a legacy for other cities, towns, and states to follow. I would like to nominate my amazing wife Amanda for the 2022 Unsung Hero Award. Together we share 2 children, Archer 5 and Aurelia 3. Being the supermom and advocate that she is, Amanda recognized the developmental differences in our kids very early on. She got them enrolled in an early intervention program and subsequently diagnosed with autism by the time they were both 3 years old. Amanda and I were just as scared and overwhelmed by our firstborn's new diagnosis as any other parents. Regardless, Amanda threw her energy into learning more about autism, advocacy work, and seeking resources for children with intellectual disabilities and their families. She became a member of our local ARC chapter where she leaned on and learned from other mothers of children with disabilities. Most inspiring of all, even though Amanda spends every waking moment being a mom and also acting as teacher, therapist, advocate, nurse, chauffeur, cook, and playmate for our kids with significant additional needs, she finds the time and energy to give back to our community by volunteering as a helping parent, providing emotional support and guidance to other moms of newly diagnosed children. She sits on the Special Ed Parent Advisory Council for our son's school, has participated in a University of Washington workshop designing autism-friendly libraries, and has recently contributed to a roundtable with Congressman Larson advocating for families of children with disabilities. Amy Jacobson is an unsung hero because she is both a foster and adoptive parent, as well as a facilitator of Amara's STAR adoptive parent support groups. STAR groups provide adoptive parents with the opportunity to share and better understand the challenges and joys that are unique to adoptive parenting, while building new friendships and connecting with a community of parents who really get it. As a facilitator, Amy guides STAR group participants through the sometimes difficult conversations and emotions that come from being an adoptive parent, such as discussing when and how to tell children the hard parts of their origin stories. She helps participants develop an understanding of ways to help adopted children build healthy identities as adoptees. This can be challenging because sometimes the topics discussed during group meetings are new and uncomfortable for adoptive parents to hear. Amy approaches these conversations with compassion and shares her own lived experience as an adoptive parent to help other adoptive parents have the knowledge and courage to successfully navigate these issues. In addition, as a foster parent, Amy works diligently to maintain relationships with the families of the children she cares for. She goes out of her way to meet parents where they are and supports their relationships with their children. She also regularly provides care for another child placed with a kinship caregiver as part of the child's village, because she knows children can never have too many people who love them.
Andy and Anita Schmucker are pillars of our community. They have been active foster parents in Jefferson County for approximately 23 years. They have so many children and youth come through their doors that they've lost count, having had 18 placements just this year alone. Andy and Anita have adopted 3 children and have been granted guardianship of many others who not only call them mom and dad, but who return year after year for holidays and visits, many of who now bring the children of their own who know Andy and Anita as grandma and grandpa. This is a loud home, a busy home with a constant stream of people coming and going, a home full of love, of laughter, and of heartache. It is a beautiful imperfection bursting with love. Andy and Anita have experienced much loss and heartache, but they've also given and experienced so much love. This is a couple who believes in sitting with children in the hard times and walking through life with them and helping to navigate the complex trauma that often comes with youth experiencing foster care. Andy and Anita not only understand the bond a child has with their biological parents, but they support and encourage those relationships with the youth in their home. It is not uncommon to see bio parents enter the door of the Schmuckers' home before and after they've regained custody of their children. It is a beautiful thing to see foster parents wrap their arms around not only the children, but their parents as well. They embody the saying, "It takes a village." Andy and Anita model unconditional love and support time and time again. Not only are they role models for the youth they serve, but for newer foster parents they mentor, bio parents they help guide, and by inspiring all who cross their path. When we think of foster care, of all that it is, all that we want it to be, we think of the Schmucker home.
Ari Patterson. Ari's heart is insanely big. Over the last 2 years, she has taken over 20 foster children into her home. Some were short-term stays and some were long-term stays. She adopted her daughter from a mother who was unable to raise her and is working to adopt another one of her foster daughters. Since she knows the trauma of being in foster care as a child, she feels compelled to welcome children in need into her own home. Though she and her husband are busy parents who both work, they put healthy meals on the table, provide structure, get all of the children to their visits, activities, and schools while showering each child that comes through their home with love. They include all of their foster children in their extended family gatherings so that each child feels that they have a place, and most beautifully, they continue to invite their foster kids back into their homes when they've moved on so that lasting connection and love remains alive. Ari is an incredibly special someone who deeply deserves to be recognized for her endless and selfless loving. Ari provides some of the very few foster beds in our whole county, allowing children to stay close to home in their home schools and activities. She says yes to hosting children even when she needs a rest or a reset because she feels what they are going through and wants them to know that they have a soft landing place through their complex journeys.
Ashley has been an outstanding parent in our ECAP program. She has been with us for 2 years and has gone above and beyond to help with the program any way she could. She's been an active parent with the Family Policy Council, made gifts for all the children in the classroom, offered on multiple occasions to lend a hand when needed, and no matter the obstacle, she always finds a way to put her son's education at the forefront. She was a model parent during virtual learning, making sure to show up at all Zoom meetings, ask as many questions as needed to make sure she understands activities, consistently asking for more resources for how to better support her child, and constantly keeping our team in the loop with her child's growth and development at home. Ashley has also taken it upon herself to advocate for the ECAP program, recruiting others and supporting other families as much as possible. Ashley has been more than a benefit to our program and deserves the recognition of her devotion to our program and her child's education.
We are nominating an amazing, thoughtful, and above all, a fierce woman. Carissa is a single mother of 3 children and 1 grandchild. Many years ago, Carissa committed to sobriety and started to take account of her past actions. This has led her through a difficult path that included custody challenges, rebuilding trust from her children, living in less than ideal neighborhoods, building credit and savings, and a commitment to help others thrive. Carissa has since put herself through college, obtained a degree, began interning at a small nonprofit, and as she grew and realized her potential, she became a case manager, and in 2021 became the program director. Carissa did this while raising her youngest child on her own with low pay and was helping families that were essentially in the same boat as she was. In other words, She could have been a client if she was not employed by this nonprofit. The fortitude it takes to give people a hand up when she simultaneously is giving herself a hand up is incredible to witness. A little over a year ago, her middle child chose to live with her. Carissa was so excited. She was bubbling with anticipation while understanding that this would require a deliberate work to establish a new normal with her daughter and son living together after several years apart in a 2-bedroom apartment. She is now working to buy her first home that will be a representation of all the hard work she has done to support her family. Carissa is compassionate, filled with empathy, extremely driven, and full of fresh ideas, while always be a mentor for other employees. In a year filled with COVID challenges and just personal stresses on everyone worldwide, Carissa brings a grace and kindness that you do not find in many. She is a special person who deserves to be honored as an unsung hero. Mr. Shekels is a grandparent of one of our kiddos here at the ECAP program at Tacoma Daycare and Preschool Association. The child is in kinship care with Clifford as his parents are not in the picture. Clifford has had his grandson since he was 14 months old when it became clear to him that his mother was no longer able to give him the care and attention a baby needs to grow. Cliff is a single grandfather starting from scratch as his 5 kids are all grown. He currently works at the Tacoma Rescue Mission, running the floor in a sober transitional housing, and has a huge heart filled with compassion for people and their struggles. He is an unsung hero as he brings light and positivity to each day and each person he meets, even though he is struggling with his own challenges, raising this young boy into a young man. It has been a great honor to know him, and I know he will continue to bless more people each day with his beautiful spirit. When I think of an unsung hero, I think about someone who goes above and beyond, not for the accolades or recognition, but for the joy of doing it and their passion for their cause. I cannot think of a better unsung hero than my dear friend, colleague, and community leader, Dari Blake. I first met Dari as a fellow parent at our local ECAP site. We were both on the Policy Council. She offered a warm, welcoming, and comforting presence to the group that encouraged other parents to join, and she has maintained some of those friendships beyond Policy Council for the 6 years I have known her. Dari's community and family engagement does not end with Policy Council. She has gone on to be a parent ambassador with WSA, worked on the executive committee for SCAN, Save the Children Action Network, Moms Rising, March of Dimes, her church, and other organizations. She has spoken at conferences, rallies, marches, and with legislators both at the state and federal level, and encouraged other parents that they were capable and powerful to do the same, and they have. I can think of 6 parents at least that have gone on to be active advocates in organizations and parent ambassadors with her guidance and support. She has a loving way of sharing her lived experience of navigating her own children's IEPs and personal tragedies that help other parents realize they are not alone and that they will always have a safe person to come to. Since we met, I have gone from being a parent at ECAP to be a family support specialist at ECAP, and while there has been many changes to the program since then, there has been one strong and reliable constant in Dari. She has remained part of our Policy Council board even though she no longer has children in our program as a past parent mentor to our current board, supporting them throughout the year. She has collected community donations to make sure each family in our program, about 400 students, had a holiday meal that wanted or needed one for the last couple years. Her passion is an encouraging force to parents, and I have seen her build numerous relationships where she has lifted parents up and they are in a better place because of her guidance and support. I cannot think of a better example of an unsung hero for our ECAP program, our community, and the state than Dari Blake.
Debbie and her husband Roger are relative caregivers for their 2 great-grandchildren, ages 4 and 5, who has been in their home since discharge from the hospital since birth. These parents have done a phenomenal job caring for these children. The oldest child is autistic and was told by professionals that she would never talk. With Debbie's determination to prove these providers wrong, her mission has been accomplished. Her granddaughter is learning to not only speak, but is now doing so in sentences. Debbie and Roger's life is centered around these 2 children. Their children have never been in daycare, nor have they ever stayed the night away from this couple. To see this couple in action will do your heart good. They are always watching out for the well-being of these children, all the while spoiling these children rotten with so much love. Both Debbie and Roger are very resourceful when searching out resources to assist with the care of these children. Both parents are involved with a kinship support group which help to relieve stressors. The selfless acts of these parents have allowed these children to nurture tremendously.
Erica Knapp. I moved to Arlington, Washington just before the pandemic. Isolated and alone, I reached out locally via social media for help with advocating for an adaptive swing at the local park. Erica volunteered and connected me to local community leaders, and successfully an adaptive swing was installed. Like myself, Erica has a child with a developmental disability. Arlington lacked support for parents raising children with developmental disabilities. Erica helped start a parent group in order to support parents with resources and information. This fall, Erica was elected to serve on the school board. Erica is a strong advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion, concepts not well received by some residents who are resistant to change and blind to inequality. Despite their criticism, pushback, and online bullying, Erica continues to advocate for all. This winter, Erica partnered with the City of Arlington to offer sensory-friendly opportunities for kids with sensory sensitivities to enjoy the seasonal carousel without music and shorter wait times. The outpouring of appreciation from parents demonstrated the need for this in the community. I am a leadership development coordinator for the ARC of Snohomish County. Erica reaches out and seeks guidance, feedback when needed. I am in awe of her leadership and appreciate the change that she creates. There are many ways that Erica gives to the community, but I am limited to just 250 words, not enough to capture the scope of her contributions.
Jacqueline exemplifies the resilience and willingness to connect to her community for support when she and her family found themselves homeless and in need 2 years ago. She and her 5 young children were living in a tent. With the help of Kitsap Community Resources, Jacqueline sustained the family unity, obtaining employment and accessing educational and child care for her children while living in a shelter for a year. With the help of the Bremerton Housing Authority, she was able to then improve bad credit, address legal issues, and regain her driver's license. Today, through her hard work and perseverance, the family has secure housing and have maintained independent living for almost a year. Jacqueline has done the hard work involved in addressing personal issues, including substance use disorder and other behavioral health challenges stemming from past traumas, and striving for security and stability for her children and herself. She has built a social foundation with others who are drug and alcohol free, and she is committed to a recovery lifestyle in the fullest sense of the word, taking care of herself and her children and giving back to the community through her work and example. Now, she's employed in a leadership role at the Salvation Army. She says, "I love my job and giving back to others." Her family has adopted this way of being as well. Her eldest son followed in mom's footsteps this holiday season as a Salvation Army volunteer. While obstacles remain, with her courage and leadership, the family has experienced true growth. I've witnessed her efforts with pride and awe and believe she is indeed an unsung hero.
It is with great pleasure to nominate Jason Armstrong for the Unsung Hero Award. He continues to show strength, courage, excitement, and acceptance of guiding his child's life during his important stages of development. He has managed to have open and positive communication with all of those who are around his son's life. He has demonstrated the importance of developing his bond with his son by playing, reading, talking, and interacting with him. Jason continues to adapt to the changes and challenges COVID has brought to all of us. He embraced technology and made adjustments so he and his son could continue having virtual visits with providers and family members. Jason encourages families to participate in the Parents as Teachers program. He has shared how this program has improved his confidence of being a single father.
Jennifer Hansen. I have known Jennifer for several years. She and her husband Todd are currently fostering a sibling set of 3, along with raising and supporting their 4 other children. The sibling set that they are fostering came to them just over a year ago. They came from trying circumstances and have had to make a lot of adjustments along the way. Despite the trauma, the trouble, the outbursts, Jennifer, Todd, and their older children have persevered, making their home a safe refuge. The children they are fostering are 3 years old, and I believe the older 2 are about 8 and 10. Jennifer is also a beloved third grade teacher in Spokane's East Valley School District. I certainly appreciate all the difficult work they do, along with their unending patience, goodwill, and optimism. I nominate Jennifer and her family for this award.